Hello and welcome to CryptoTV. I'm your host, Ornella Hernandez, and today we're going to talk about this week's trending topic, Sam Altman's exit and return at OpenAI, and about Argentina's new pro-Bitcoin president. We also have two special guests joining us today, so stay tuned. A lot has happened this past week in the world of Web3 and artificial intelligence. In the last 24 hours, it was announced that the CEO of Binance resigned and pleaded guilty to money laundering charges. Then, a crisis at artificial intelligence company OpenAI saw the firing and now return of its CEO Sam Altman. So much to talk about, but first let's do a quick recap of events at OpenAI. Sam Altman's weekend plans last week were derailed when he was fired as CEO of OpenAI by the board of directors in a surprising decision that almost no one expected, including Sam Altman himself. The company's board of directors cited problems with Altman's lack of transparency in communication as the main reason for his dismissal, and informed him of it via a last-minute Google Meet link. A bit brutal, in my opinion. Despite that being the official reason for the firing, some speculated other theories, that Altman has ties to a Chinese cyber army, while others claimed that there were fundamental disagreements and ongoing tensions among board members. After this, OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman, who was also on the board of directors, also left the company, and other senior executives left as well, most likely in an act of solidarity. Then, after a weekend of negotiations to bring back Sam Altman as CEO, those talks failed, and former Twitch co-founder Emmett Shear was appointed as OpenAI's new CEO. But then dozens of employees resigned, and hundreds threatened to resign if things didn't change. Here's where things got good. News comes out that Sam Altman and Greg Brockman are joining Microsoft and leading the artificial intelligence division's new internal research team. Why does it matter that OpenAI's two most powerful people joined Microsoft in less than 48 hours? Well, because that tech giant invested $13 billion in OpenAI, which helped it to become a market leader. And it was all thanks to Microsoft's chief executive, Satya Nadella, who felt the need to put an end to all the Sam Altman drama before the stock market opened up again on Monday. You'd have thought that it would have been all sorted out by now, but no. This Wednesday morning, Sam Altman posted on X that he is returning to OpenAI as CEO. I didn't expect this, folks. Altman wrote, "I love OpenAI, and everything I've done over the past few days has been in service of keeping this team and its mission together. When I decided to join Microsoft on Sunday evening, it was clear that was the best path for me and the team. With the new board and with Satya's support, I'm looking forward to returning to OpenAI and building on our strong partnership with Microsoft." The board did indeed change, and Nadella then responded this to Altman. "We are encouraged by the changes to the OpenAI board. We believe this is a first essential step on a path to more stable, well-informed, and effective governance. Sam, Greg, and I have talked and agreed that they have a key role to play along with the OpenAI leadership team in ensuring that it continues to thrive and build on its mission." And the end. They lived happily ever after. No, just kidding. Surely we'll read that Altman is leaving again tomorrow. Who knows? But we will continue to monitor this story for you guys. And in the meantime, I'll tell you what caused all this drama in the first place. The board acted within its rights in firing Altman. I'll explain why. OpenAI was founded as a non-profit organization with a mission to develop artificial general intelligence that would be safe and beneficial to humanity and serve as a counterbalance to the profit-oriented AI labs like Google. It's a pretty broad mission, if you ask me. Now, to keep the board's interests aligned with humanity and not OpenAI investors, most of the directors were independent and none owned OpenAI stock. And even those who invested in OpenAI were encouraged to consider their contributions as donations. So what might have happened is that the board members thought that Altman was evolving into this artificial general intelligence a bit too fast, and they wanted to slow things down, supposedly for the good of humanity. Basically, they just wanted to take back control. The problem here is that OpenAI was a for-profit business with a non-profit board. That doesn't work because it's unrealistic to think that you can force for-profit investors to behave as if they're just charitable donors, especially when your main investor is Microsoft, which invested $13 billion in you. In reality, this investment consisted mostly of Azure credits. Azure is its cloud platform, a competitor to Amazon Web Services. Now, in return, Microsoft received perpetual rights to all of OpenAI's intellectual property. Well, and for 2 days, Microsoft had the people who developed that intellectual property. Another interesting point to note is that Elon Musk was one of the founders of OpenAI along with Sam Altman. But in February, he parted ways with it after Microsoft donated more money. So Musk did as Musk does, and he launched his own thing. He called it XAI, creative. XAI's goal is similar to OpenAI's. It's to create an artificial general intelligence that, here's the difference, can understand the universe, whatever that means. Musk and Altman competed against each other to build a super intelligent artificial intelligence, smarter than humans, but in line with human interests. Yeah, sure. Do we really believe that this is possible? I don't know. I have another question. How does this relate to cryptocurrency? Well, for starters, OpenAI created Worldcoin. It's an eye-scanning project that involves cryptocurrency, and the price of that coin dropped considerably after Altman's firing. Now, if you haven't already, please check out a video that I did on this where I actually got my eyeball scanned and got verified as a human in exchange for tokens. The link is in the description. The OpenAI crisis, however, served to increase the value of AI tokens that focus on Web3 applications over the last week, including the Graph, Fetch, SingularityNet, Ocean Protocol, dCargo. Now, what is the link between Web3 and AI? Well, the Web3 ecosystem can help solve the trust problem of artificial intelligence, and the two technologies can work together to solve complex global problems. At least that's what people tell me. Now, moving on to the news of another fallen CEO. Changpeng Zhao, or CZ as they call him, pleads guilty to charges by the US Justice Department and resigns from his position as CEO of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange by volume. Now, the decision is part of a settlement for the payment of more than $4 billion in fines imposed on the exchange, which will continue to operate for the time being. CZ pleaded guilty to charges related to the failure to comply with anti-money laundering measures brought by the Justice Department. It also alleged that CZ operated an unregistered exchange and misled investors by using a Swiss-based fund owned by him to inflate trading volume on the US-based Binance platform. Now, on this last point, CZ stated that the settlement obtained with the agency states that Binance would not have used user funds or engaged in any market manipulation. Despite this, people on X are calling him a hero who has sacrificed himself for everyone, according to Altcoin Daily's account. And he is getting a lot of support by the Web3 community. There is no denying that CZ played a crucial role for the entire cryptocurrency industry, and he led a generation of millions of new crypto users. But unfortunately, he will most likely face jail time. What a crazy week, folks. Sam Altman leaves and returns. CZ faces jail time. And in other hot topics, the South American country of Argentina now has a new Bitcoin-loving president, and his name is Javier Milei. A lot of things are being said about him, and he's being compared to Donald Trump a lot. But what matters to me is that Milei loves Bitcoin, and he hates central banks. So much so that he wants to abolish the country's central bank. He said that the central bank is a scam and a mechanism used by politicians to cheat people. He even went on national television on his birthday a few years ago and had a piñata in the shape of the central bank, and he really beat it up. Look at this. People are celebrating this pro-Bitcoin president who says that Bitcoin represents the return of money to its original creator, the private sector, and prevents politicians from stealing from you through inflation. And Argentina does have one of the highest inflation rates in the world, 143% to be exact. And the Argentine peso has been depreciating rapidly. To put things into perspective, $1 is 350 Argentine pesos. Oh, and just look at how much one Bitcoin costs in Argentina. Personally, I can't wait to see what Milei does to combat Argentina's 143% inflation rate by dollarizing the economy. Argentina is the perfect ground to leverage Bitcoin technology. But getting rid of the central bank and replacing the Argentine peso with the US dollar are big promises. So we have to see if Javier can actually execute this plan. I have no idea how hard it is to actually get rid of the central bank, but I do know that politicians' promises are usually more talk than action. So let's see if Milei can walk the talk. Argentina already has a very high adoption rate of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, one of the highest in Latin America, in fact. So it is very likely that Milei will increase this usage, and Argentinians will be able to make legal transactions in Bitcoin and stablecoins very soon. I mean, we saw what happened after the first pro-Bitcoin president, Nayib Bukele, was elected in El Salvador. He made Bitcoin a legal tender in the country. He started buying Bitcoins to increase the country's reserves. He launched Bitcoin-backed government bonds. And little by little, it is making a difference in the daily lives of the people of El Salvador. So all eyes will be on Javier Milei to see if he does something similar. Milei will take office on December 10th, 2023. And hey, even Elon Musk supports him, and he posted this on X. Prosperity is ahead for Argentina. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, to talk about all this and more, let's welcome two special guests on CryptoTV. Lots to talk about today on CryptoTV, and that's why I've invited two special guests to join me. We have Kin, who is the CEO of Minterest, a DeFi lending protocol, and Patricia, who is the head of growth of Layer N, a new Ethereum scaling solution. How are you guys? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank
doing
you.
Incredibly well. So much news today. I mean, gosh.
Lots going on.
Like waking up with way too many pings on my Telegram and also on the news apps. It's like crazy.
Same. But first, let's do just a quick round of intros. Please tell everyone who you are, what the company is, and your role, please. We'll start with you, Kin.
Sure, no problem, yeah. So my name is Kin Chaturvedi. I'm the CEO of Minterest. Minterest is a DeFi lending protocol focusing on fair finance. One of the things
what does that mean?
I'll tell you exactly what that means. So basically what we've seen over the last few years, hundreds of millions of dollars of fees have been generated by lending protocols in this space. But these fees, they don't go back to the users themselves. They actually go to company stakeholders, or they go to third parties. And we think that, well, that's basically unfair. That's the gist of it. Instead, what we're actually doing at Minterest is we're having it so that all of these fees, they actually go right back to the users themselves. At the same time, we're protecting our users even further. So what we actually do is we remove these third-party liquidators from the system, which basically sit on the outside of all these lending protocols. And what they do is they essentially profit off of users that have distressed positions. They profit from them, and we think that's also unfair. So instead what we've done...
Like those that couldn't pay back?
Yeah, those that can't pay back their loans, they basically get liquidated.
Right.
So what we do is we've actually brought that in-house. So Minterest handles the liquidations, but not for the purposes of profit. What it actually does, it focuses on bringing users back into a position of health, and that's it, not taking a cent more. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to lending protocols, what you want to do is build liquidity. You're not looking to have it removed. You want it there growing and sustainable, right, for the users.
Right, to keep the money flowing within the industry.
Exactly right. So that's what we're doing. Right now, we have been on mainnet Ethereum in a private launch phase for the last 5-6 months. We've gone through, we think security is very important, so we've gone through 7 security audits, Trail of Bits, Peck Shield, Hack and Zokia, the best in the space.
Okay.
And we're looking to do a launch in Q1 of next year.
Okay, that's exciting. All right, well, so Patricia, I know that you are also building on Ethereum with Layer N. So could you please tell us a little bit more about that and the new Layer 2?
Sure, like layer N is basically a network of rollups on top of Ethereum.
Okay.
So what that means is that instead of launching isolated general rollups, which has like segregated liquidity from all the other rollups, what we're trying to do is we're going to allow all of the dApps to be able to launch their own rollups and have the sovereignty over all of the customizations they would need, whether it's like using the fees, generating like sequencer fees like for the revenue purposes, or even like for the KYC purposes and etc. To have that complete sovereignty and control over that. At the same time, all of these like dApp rollups will be able to tap into the same liquidities without being segregated from the entire ecosystems. And this kind of liquidity can be built on top of each other's. They will be all be living in the same ecosystem to be integrated and be reused, and at the same time maintaining control and sovereignty over whatever settings they have.
Okay, so the idea is to make it easier for developers to build more financial applications on Ethereum.
Yeah.
Could you give me maybe some examples of what that could look like?
So we have ideas around how like lending and borrowing protocol will look like if they have their own rollups and have like, controls over the whatever settings they want.
Okay.
You guys can, for example, even use your own tokens as the gas tokens if you want to. At the same time, without like excluding you guys from like integrating with other like DEX, rollups, and etc. And also currently we're building this rollup called Node, which is hyper optimized for on-chain trading, and at the same time just like really low latency executions. So that is also something a lot of the DEXs are looking for out there, and a lot of centralized exchanges, when they want to explore like the on-chain purpose spaces, they would need a settings with a high compute and low latency like that.
Right, so higher performance, hyperscale, all that. Okay,
exactly.
Great. Now I do have to ask, why do we need another layer 2? Are there not enough already?
Well, very good question. So it's not exactly just another layer 2, it's a network of rollups.
Okay.
So currently, like for example, Optimism and Arbitrum, the protocols are on there, and also like the liquidity over there, they cannot cross-compose with each other. You always have to bridge off over to Ethereum and then bridge onto another rollups. But what we're trying to do is like we're having all of these dApp rollups to be launched within one ecosystems. Like all of them will be sharing the same sequencer and the same liquidity pools.
Okay.
So liquidity can be moved freely between all of these rollups. So right now, like for dApp developers, even like for example for you guys, when you are choosing to launch on a chain, like it's either a layer 2 or like a layer 1, but essentially you have to pick like one single place where you want to grow your ecosystem, right? And your ecosystem won't be interactable with others.
Right.
And you want to also be launching within an ecosystem that can be cross-composable with all of the other dApps. At the same time, with retaining controls over the settings you want for your own rollup.
Ken, do you think this is like something you could maybe work with?
It's very interesting because that is one of the challenges, right, that we're facing. We're focusing on the same idea of saying how do we unify fragmented liquidity when you have so many layer 1s and layer 2s that are launching? You have $25 billion of liquidity that's sitting there in all these across so many different chains. And so one of the solutions, like what you're talking about, which is allowing for basically applications. So it's not just a single layer 2, basically you have an ecosystem. So anyone can basically launch their own, I guess it would be equivalent to like thinking of like their own blockchain, so to speak, but on top of your solution in a sense. So you're having utilizing your own gas token, basically your own token as a gas token, so to speak, to pay for the fees. And at the same time having interoperability with any other application that's doing the same thing. Right? Yeah, that's very interesting. Those are the kinds of solutions that we definitely require in this space. I think it's a matter of, and hopefully what happens is also having your ecosystem be able to speak with other ecosystems too. That's also going to be pretty important as well. That's what we're trying to figure out ourselves, how to make that happen too.
I think the innovation for layer N is to include all of the rollups within our own ecosystems and have all of them be cross-composable with each other, have the liquidity be able to move freely between them. I think that's kind of the end goal for us. Because currently, like when you are launching on Arbitrum or like Optimism or any other like layer 2s, for example, like your performance will be limited by the layer 2s you're launching on. But by launching your own rollups, you won't be limited by that, and you have like full controls over the settings you want. At the same time, but being able to tap into that ecosystems that allows you to be not excluded from all of the different ecosystems. Like as a linear borrowing protocol, you want to be built on top of other DEXs, and you want to like your, for example, like positions, users' positions to be used as, for example, collaterals in other DEXs, etc. So you want like that capital to be reused to be integrated in the bigger ecosystem.
That would be ideal. I think we can agree that we definitely want to work towards that world. But in the meantime, today's world, we have other things going on. Let's start first with Sam Altman being ousted from OpenAI, from his board, and now joining. This morning, I woke up to the news on X that he's going to be the CEO again. What do we think about this?
I mean, my God, how quickly things move, right? I mean, so initially it looked like it was almost like a coup, removing him from his own company, right, with the board. And then now we're coming all the way back where he was being offered a position at Microsoft to basically launch, his own division, right, along with Greg. And you had 75% of the employee staff at OpenAI publicly stating that they're going to leave, right? And so that basically means joining, Microsoft at that point in time. That's true. Or that's right. That's another option as well. Or XAI. And then at the end of the day, now we're back with Sam. And what was very interesting to me is looking at what happened on X, right? In terms on Twitter, right? Like simply with Sam simply saying that he loves OpenAI and the team that's there, and everyone hearting it, like retweeting, quote retweeting it with hearts and hearts and hearts, and just how that basically created this massive virality, this network effect of people who just wanted to participate in that message. Fantastic.
It's such a crazy thing because it's like, I guess initially the board wanted to take control, but they ended up like almost dissolving the company because everyone followed Sam, employees, the other high executives, senior executives. So it ended up backfiring on them, and now there's a whole new board. So we'll see what direction they take. Obviously, the CEO of Microsoft is very involved. So we'll see. He responded to Sam's tweet this morning, so we'll see what happens there. Patricia, what do you think about this?
I think it also just showcases like how powerful like culture it matters like in our society right now. Yeah, like Sam is basically the face of OpenAI, and he is the voice as well, like especially on Twitter. Like people follow OpenAI and its progress by following Sam. True. And if Sam is representing OpenAI, and people like can't imagine a place like our OpenAI without Sam. And I think that's kind of the sentiments people have on Twitter as well. It's like when Sam was like being cooed out, like how you describe it. People showed sentiments of surprise, shock.
Everyone was surprised. He was surprised. No one expected this to happen.
No one had any like prior notice. People were surprised, were shocked, and it was just saddened. And OpenAI won't be the same place. And people will follow Sam wherever he goes. And OpenAI won't be the same place without Sam. That's why I think that gave the board a lot of pressure to have him back. To have like this kind of like the fixed person to come back and start representing the company. That's how they can still keep it together.
Yeah.
A big tug of war that we're seeing on that front, right, is that there's this, the ideology of keeping artificial intelligence safe, right? But at the same time, the nature of shareholders, venture capital, and profit, right? So, Sam, and he's wanting to be very progressive, obviously, and there are certain, new models in which they can monetize, but at the same time, which is actually very appealing. And you're in competition with Google and with Twitter and or X and the like, right? Or Elon Musk and the like, right? So how do you stay competitive? And when we look at competitive networks, you have to do that. Ideology, unfortunately, it looks like I don't know if it's taking a back seat here, because that is one of the key concerns from OpenAI and others, even those who left OpenAI earlier, right? Is it safe to be progressing this fast forward? And so I think that's another big point. Contention. No,
you're right. So it was it's technically a for-profit company, but the board members were acting as if it was a non-profit. So they had that tension there because they say that they're acting in the best interests of humanity and for the greater good and all this and that. But are they really? And they were worried that Sam was maybe taking things too fast, like you said. And so they wanted to hold the reins a little bit. But it ended up backfiring on them, so I don't know. All right, so we'll see what happens. We'll keep monitoring you guys on this story. Another big news story that happened less than 24 hours before Sam rejoining OpenAI is that CZ, Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, resigned and is accused by the DOJ, the Department of Justice of the US, of money laundering and many other accusations, and he probably will face jail time. What do you guys think?
I think it's, in terms of just the news itself, it's a bullish news for the market because it's something the market has been anticipating for a very long time.
That's true, yeah.
And there were rumors around Binance and about like the things that they did, like while he was still the CEO at Binance, and whether like that would result in legal consequences. So I think everyone in the market is happy that it's finally got resolved, and it's kind of a relief as well for the market. It's like everything's kind of settling down, and for Binance itself, I think for CZ to step it down is also a very bullish image for Binance to have like a fresher start and kind of like remove away like from the images like CZ previously had brought to the company, and trying to have like a cleaner start and start like building up their public image.
Okay. Fair point.
Yeah, when we look at it, you're right. I mean, so Binance didn't have really a strong compliance team or approach at the very beginning, and that's one of the things that got them into a bit of trouble. But I also agree that kind of a fresh start is important here. The other thing is it's very interesting to also look at X and see the kind of responses we're seeing for CZ, like the king. Like how many times have we seen king?
No,
right?
they're calling him hero, and that he's sacrificing himself for the greater industry. Do you think that's true?
Well, I think. But what is interesting is a number of our ecosystem partners, right, who have worked directly with CZ in some capacity or Binance in some capacity, where they were the mentor. I've seen picture after picture of these founders with a picture with CZ, kind of posting it, because for them, irrespective of what happened behind the scenes at Binance, it was a positive development for themselves.
Right.
Right. There's a reason why they felt they got ahead, and they're thankful and grateful for whatever he has done for them. So in that sense, I think it's also a very good part of this story, irrespective of what's happening in the background necessarily.
But Patricia, I did really like your point. You say that's a fresh start. Is it though? Is it a fresh start for the industry, for centralized exchanges, for everyone?
I think you will be like setting a start, maybe not such a fresh start for Binance, because like having a new phase, like being isolated from like CZ and just like starting as a company without CZ and the baggage like he brought to the reputations of Binance like in the past 6 months, I think it's a good start like for Binance itself, and also at the same time to imagine a world of Binance like without CZ.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't
imagine that right now.
OpenAI without Sam Altman.
Yeah, exactly.
People need their spokespersons, the faces of the company.
Yeah.
Now we know how important that is.
And it's time for Binance to be Binance instead of being like CZ's Binance.
Okay.
You're right, and it also does open up opportunity for other exchanges as well that have been competing pretty well to potentially become more competitive. Whether it's your OKXs or your Bybits and KuCoins and things like that, right? There are spots available for sure, and so we may end up seeing a lot more very interesting competition taking place there too.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say they still have issues to deal with, like internally with like regulations and all that. But I think it would be good news like for the market just to see these kind of things being settled down.
Okay. Yeah, I think they were definitely, at least the US regulators, so the SEC, the DOJ, they're trying to make an example out of them because the accusations are for Binance US. But it will obviously affect the greater industry, so we'll see how other exchanges respond to this. Now, there's one more news topic that I wanted to bring up. Patricia, I don't know if you saw, but in Argentina, there's a new president. His name is Javier Milei, who's a very pro-Bitcoin president. He wants to replace the Argentinian peso with the US dollar. He wants to abolish the central bank of Argentina. And he wants to have the population of Argentina adopt crypto and stable coins. Do we think this is a good thing?
It's very difficult for us to evaluate from an outsider point of view. But like from like what we all know is like Argentina and also just in Latin America in general is very pro Bitcoin.
Yes.
And all of the politicians, especially recently when they get like popularity, they will be supporting Bitcoin. And I think the people also like in the Latin America, the adoptions of crypto is
very high. Yeah.
It's extremely high. Especially combined with like inflation happening in those countries and the distrust towards like central banks and also just like the politicians and the government in general, I think that has a really good ground like for Bitcoin to grow there. I think the elections of that president, I saw some of the videos of him, seems pretty crazy. He's definitely like more of like a populist type, and I think like his proposals of like, okay, we don't trust the central banks, we want to abolish it, and we want to basically have like a low inflation, so like with adopting more like Bitcoins, things like this, I think is really like something that Argentinian people want. But how he's going to execute that and whether it's good for the like country or not, we'll see that.
I know, lots of promises, lots of talk. We'll see if he can execute.
Yeah, he's definitely, you're right. He's very much outspoken, and but at the end of the day, as you also rightly stated, the population, I mean, they've been dealing with inflation like crazy, right? Back in 1990, it went up to 20,000% at that time. Then it finally came back down to, I think, maybe 5, 10, 15%, but then the last 10 years it's gone from about 15% inflation down to 140 at this point, right? And so over 10 years, your entire economy is being inflated away. On top of that, so the citizens have the ability to then move some of their money into dollars, but it's $200 a month, basically, at the existing exchange rate. That's just not enough, frankly speaking, right? Then they go to the black market to get, at double the rate. They're paying twice the amount, but they can do it. So crypto ends up becoming one of the saviors, so to speak, it has for the past several years.
Yeah, out of necessity, I think people have turned to alternative investments, digital assets, to safeguard their own assets.
Exactly right. So, and that's why I think that the word of, at least the way in which he's positioning himself, being crypto friendly, definitely is going to win him a lot of favors and has already from the population.
Yeah, we'll see if he can deliver on all his promises. All right, so let's bring it back to you guys. I want to hear a little bit more about what we can expect next coming up from Layer N and from Minterest. Kin?
Sure. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we'll be doing our public launch in Q1 of next year, listing as well as opening a Minterest up to anyone to participate. But in addition to that, we do have a multi-chain strategy. So right now we are in final deals with a number of different chains in the space where we will be deploying Minterest as mirrored versions there.
Okay.
And the purpose really is, we have a huge retail audience of token holders basically, and they just can't operate on Ethereum, frankly. So they need to find other places that they need to go, right? So I think this will be greatly beneficial for them.
Is that because of the gas fees? Yeah.
It is. Like, no matter how much, our team has spent so much time optimizing, but yeah, Ethereum is just, exactly right. So what this is going to allow is for them to be able to utilize, some more partner chains. At the same time, the end goal for Minterest really over the next year and a half is to lend on one chain and borrow on another one in a very seamless fashion. So we're working with Layer 0 to build some very interesting things on top of Stargate, doing true cross-chain liquidations, being able to lend on one chain, borrow on the other one. There's a lot of fun stuff that we're taking place, but we want to right now solidify with a few core chains to begin with.
All right, keep me updated on that.
I do.
And Patricia, what is the roadmap for Layer N?
So we're aiming to launch a testnet towards February or March next year, and we're aiming for mainnet towards Q2 and Q3 next year. So very exciting timelines. We love like a lot of developers to come on and build on top of the Layer Ns, and very excited for the community to go from there. And for us, we are also closing like a few like strategic investments, including one with like BlackPine, which has a huge presence in Hong Kong, and they're also working on the Hong Kong stablecoin and ETFs over there.
Wow.
And another one that will be with like Paradigm Ventures founders over there. And they have a big presence in Dubai and in the Middle East in general. So this will help us to really like pitch this idea to a lot of like especially traditional finances and also like financial institutions that would like need a high compute environment for them to build things on top of like Ethereum and have benefits like from blockchain space, at the same time don't have to struggle with like the things like gas fees and have like low compute and also low latency areas. So that's like the things we are building, and at the same time is like our next goals will be really just pushing towards like the testnet and the mainnet and getting builders, like for example yourself, to come and build on top
We'll
of
talk.
us.
We are out of time, unfortunately. So thank you guys so much for joining me on Crypto TV, Kin and Patricia. And everyone, please stay tuned for the rest of Crypto TV.
In the crypto market, Bitcoin price is at $37,279. Ethereum is trading at $2,055 today. GRT is up 5.28% this week and trading currently at 14 cents. And AGIX is up nearly 6.76% this week with a price of 27 cents today.
And that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to give this video a like if you like me and check out other Web3 TV coverage. See you guys later.